So we have the pleasure of having Mike with us this morning as our guest speaker. This whole focus is on lead generation and therefore scripts, dialogue that he has used successfully with sellers and buyers in his history as being a very productive agent, and perhaps the dialogue that he's using with his agents as he coaches them moving forward into productivity, into business. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mike. I did give you the co-share abilities. If there are questions, guys, it might be best to put them in the chat and then we can pose them to Mike. And our format for today, for anybody who's new, is we have our guest speaker talk for roughly 25-30 minutes. It's an interactive discussion and we do have time for questions. And then at 9:30, we do break to go about our own business for lead generation. I'll keep this room open. I'll be available for consult, but Mike will be free to go about his day. And I'm sure it'll be an amazing one. And there'll be more people coming on the call. I'll monitor the room as well. So without further ado, Mike, thanks again for your time and take it away.
My pleasure. Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Val. I appreciate it. Thanks you all for coming in. Look, it's George Kozer down there. Oh, wonderful. So yeah, so as Val said, I know that everyone is all about scripts, and I do understand that there are a lot to be learned by really knowing what you're doing, and so that which actually I'm gonna try and see if I can successfully share my screen here. So my very basic question I have up here, and I don't have a whole big slide presentation. I know you're hoping for like a 40 or 50 slide presentation. I'm going to talk for a few little things quickly, and then we'll kind of get down to business. So the first thing is, who can tell me why? Just generally, been on this call a bunch of times. Why do we use scripts?
So we can overcome the questions our clients have. I don't like to say objections. I'll say questions.
Overcome objections and questions. Excellent. Anyone else?
So you can be ready for any question, and you should expect any question, whether it's a commission question or a price question or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Be prepared.
I like to think.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Now, I like to think it's because we can listen better. We don't have to be apprehensive about what we're going to say if we have our scripts or our objection handlers internalized. We can actually listen, we can acknowledge what they're saying is a concern of theirs and then address it.
I like that, Val. It frees you from having to spend time in your own head thinking about what am I going to say next.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that instant Rolodex of here's my objection handler, so you can actually pay attention to what's happening in front of you. I like that.
So you can get comfortable and you're not thinking too much. You're just comfortable in the moment and you can just respond.
Yep, be in the moment, be comfortable, absolutely. So those are all right. So some of the answers I put down, you guys hit on a lot of them. They do let you quickly learn new sales approaches. So especially if you're new in the business, but even if you've been in it for decades, the sales game, well, at its heart, hasn't changed since the first caveman sold his neighbor a new cave. It really hasn't changed one little bit. But approaches do, as we add in, the Internet of Things, as we add in social equity issues, all of them we add into this that have to kind of help mold our sales approaches. So scripts help you quickly learn them. As you guys said, they boost your confidence, both in talking with leads, with gaining new leads, and frankly, even with talking with friends or family, depending on the script. They allow you to easily scale your business. So a lot of the things you guys said would feed directly into this. So once you feel more confident, once you pay closer attention, what can you then do as a realtor? You can scale your business. You bring in more leads, capture more buyers and sellers. And then the last one I put here, which for me is the most important, and to this day, the thing that I kind of rack my brain with the most is they help you form habits. So that you know that you basically always, with certain variances, of course, you always say the same thing. Your response to a certain objection is always the same way. And it gives you that sort of habit of, this is how I respond to a certain objection. This is my open house script. This is what I say to Fsbo. This is what I say to a seller who's kind of on the fence. Once those things become habitual, that's when you can really, it's like if you ever listen to jazz music, does anyone here a jazz fan? No, nobody? So, there's not exactly like, it's never played the same way twice. The idea of improvisation in jazz is huge, but trust me, those guys and gals, they know their notes, they know the core, the foundation, like the back of their hand. It's literally become habit. Same thing is true with what we do in our business and the scripts we use. So we already answered the first question. That last sentence on that line, practice makes. Finish that sentence for me.
Money.
Nice one.
It makes money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that, Joanne. That's perfect. How about confidence?
Confidence. There's the cliche answer everyone knows, right? Practice makes perfect. So I would venture to say that money for sure, confidence for sure, perfect, probably not so much. A former broker of mine, they really for the idea that practice makes permanent. You do something enough, it simply becomes the way you do it every time. And the better off you get it, the more habitual it becomes, the more permanent ingrained in your brain, the more likely you are to bring in more clients, feel more confident, make more money, grow your business. You see how it's all kind of intertwined there. So
can I also say one thing, that practice makes progress? Because the more you practice, the more you have the ability to look at something and tweak it so that you're constantly improving. Progress equals growth. So
absolutely.
when you're practicing a script, which is the language of real estate, practicing scripts, language of real estate, because everything has a language, and it's a language we get to learn. And that's how we make progress.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's the language of real estate. I mean, it's our scripts are in our toolbox. They're our arsenal. Between our contracts and our scripts is pretty much all we've got. Those are how we talk to somebody verbally and how we interact with them contractually. Those are our two big tools. So definitely we want to make them second nature as best we possibly can.
Hey, Mike, have you heard that the saying that amateurs practice to get it right and professionals practice to never get it wrong? And that's why you have professional athletes who will practice for hundreds of hours in a week to get those 3 catches perfect, even though they may be on the field 15 or 20 minutes. So I always like that line.
Yeah, it goes back to exactly what Usha and I were saying. Is that the more you practice it, the more it becomes habit. You know when you pivot, you know when you make the turn, you know when you look back to grab the ball. Absolutely, George. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to talk about 2 scripts that I like. There are many, there are hundreds, probably thousands. There are 2 in particular that I'm a big fan of that I've used multiple times. If I'm being honest, one has worked almost every time, and one has worked sometimes, but I just like it. So we're going to talk about this, the making more of your money at open houses with the script, and a little bit about the KW app, because I think it follows very nicely. So first, you need to have a sense of some questions you're going to ask. These are basic probing questions, and this is a buyer you met at an open house, either at the open or afterwards. Not going to spend too long staring at these, but what brings you here? What do you like about the home? Have you seen others today? Just some probing questions. What's your time frame? Where do you live now? But the script, which we're going to look at, is this. I call it the great no problem script. Hopefully this shows up. There we go. Does anybody want to just play the role of either the agent or the customer? We'll run through the script one time. So Shania, how about for this moment, you take the part of the customer. I'll play the part of the agent this time. And
Okay.
Whether if you go off script slightly, I won't fault you too much. So this is you're walking into my open house. So good afternoon, welcome. I'm Mike. Thanks so much for coming. So what brings you to today's open house?
Okay.
One or the other.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm coming in today just to look around to shop to see, looking for a home to move fairly quickly.
Wonderful. Great. No problem. So how long have you been looking?
I want to say about 3 months or so.
3 months. And have you found anything you've liked so far?
I know that I like this area that we are in, but I haven't found a house that's met all of my needs. And so,
What would you say some of those needs are?
well, I need to at least have 3 bedrooms, 2.5 or 3 full bathrooms, a finished basement to have family over, and it
Excellent.
needs to be very, fairly close or accessible to a highway.
Excellent. Well, look, that is a great, there's not a problem there at all. So, we're here in the Horsham area. So you're telling me, you're looking for that 3-bedroom home, room for family and entertainment. That's excellent. So, Shania, I see a lot of homes in an average week. So if I see something that meets the needs of what you're looking for, and I find that perfect home for you, can I give you a call?
Yes, that actually would be great.
Excellent. And that's it. That's the whole script. Because no matter what she says, I'm working with another agent. Great, no problem. I'm here just looking. I saw you, I drove by the sign. Great, no problem. What question would I never ask in that open house? Are you working with another agent? I want to know what brought you here. If you tell me your agent brought you here, and then when I say, if I find the perfect home, I give you a call, and you say, yes, here's my agent's card. Wonderful. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. But if you just say, yes, I would love for you to give me a call, whether or not you're working with another agent. Even if I call you, might say, 2 weeks later, great, pass that info along to your agent. I get to sell a listing. But if not, look, I'm not trying to take, you must have to work with me. I'm not trying to sign with me. But if I find what you're looking for, can I give you a call? To me, that is a script that if you're a real buyer, how do you say no? An agent who is a presumed professional in the real estate world is saying, if I find what you want, would you let me give you a buzz? I think it's a phenomenal script. I use this at every open house I go to. It's nicer if it's your own listing, because then if they say they like it, but it works for anyone else's listing as well. And even in the follow-up phone call that you make Sunday night or Monday morning to everybody that showed up and signed in, you say this is the same exact thing. Obviously, you're tweaking the thanks for coming to, it was nice meeting you yesterday, as opposed to what brought you here today. But that second half, I see, what are you looking for again? Remind me, you said you wanted yesterday a 3-bedroom, and that I see a lot of homes, and I give you a call if I find the right one. That sticks, whether it's at the open house the next day, or frankly, even a week later, if you happen to forget to call them. Any questions on that one?
Mike, you mentioned some great stuff. Number one, follow up to the client the next day. Thank you for mentioning that, because follow up after open houses is so important. If you're not going to do the follow up, probably I say don't even bother doing the open house.
No.
And this is, very low threat. And you're right. The answer almost has to be yes for the serious buyer. I love that you put that in too, for the motivated buyer, not someone who's just out, fooling around. So this definitely works.
Yeah. And they're gonna answer your question. If I find the perfect home, I'm gonna call you. Well, no, we're not really looking now. We're just, we're not, my daughter graduates in a year. Okay. You put them on that campaign and command, you let them get their emails, you call them quarterly, you just do the thing. But yes, I agree, Val. I know there's some questions in the chat. Anything that you want to get to before you go to the one last one?
Mike, you and I talked yesterday about, do we ask them at some point, either at the open house or maybe on a follow-up phone call, have you signed a buyer agency contract with that agent? That sometimes can really let you know whether they are really have an agent or they're just using that, no, don't bother me. I don't want to be bothered. I have an agent. So.
Yeah, and no, you're right, George. Although, again, it goes back to, I don't ask questions to which I don't want the answer. and if I'm not going to ask, have you signed a buyer? Are you working with somebody? If they're working with someone whose name they remember, they're going to say so. I mean, how many times have any of you been at an open house where you're standing in front of a couple and they say something, oh yeah, our agent, and the one looks at the other, what's their name, honey? Who are you working with? That is not a solid agency relationship right there, But I do understand what you're saying, George, and I think as you move down, I would not show a home more than once or twice thereafter without really finding out. It's been great work. Things are going really well. I really enjoy, speaking with you. I know you mentioned you had talked to their agent. Are you currently, signed with someone? But yeah, eventually you do not find that out. So, so I just wanted to really quickly, by the way, do not let people leave your open house, especially if you have this lovely script with them, without either at that moment or thereafter making sure they have your KW app. Because that question, if I find the perfect home, can I give you a call? If they say yes, they're willing to hear from you, they should be looking on your app from that point forward. So you can text that app to them from within the app. If you have a slow moment and they walk out the door and there's not another couple or 2 or 10 standing there, take a moment, share it immediately, and the text can say, thank you so much, it's a pleasure meeting you. Here's a link to my app. But it's a great tool that you can see what they're favoriting, what they're looking at. They can, don't let a customer either leave, or I should say do not forget to follow up with one or the other without making sure they have the link to your app. So here's my favorite Fsbo script. I'm going to be honest, this one I've had not quite as great success with, but it's worked more than once, which is good enough for me at the moment. So here it goes. George, how about you do it? You'll do a great job. You'll be the seller. So
I'm
this
the
is
seller?
a phone. Yes, you're going to roll the seller. This is a phone call that you're going to make to a Fsbo whose number you found, either Zillow or something else.
Right.
So, all right. Good morning. Is this the homeowner for 123 Main Street?
Yeah, it is. What do you want?
Oh, wonderful. Well, good morning, sir. So my name is Mike from Keller Williams. First of all, let me tell you, I am not calling to solicit your listing. I know you've gotten many of those phone calls, and I don't want to be that guy. However, I do have a business idea for you, if I may, for a moment.
All right, make it quick.
Not a problem. So I would be very interested in holding an open house at your property. I'll do all the marketing, all the phone calls, emails, social media, and all the print marketing to get the word out to bring potential buyers into your home. What do you think?
Well, I don't want my home listed. I'm not paying you any money as a listing agent for this sort of thing.
Of course, and I understand that. I would never ask you to. I'm only asking if I can hold the open house. As in this market, the marketing of an open at a home as lovely as yours generally brings about 15 to 20 groups through, all in a matter of 2 hours, rather than having to disturb your life with showing after showing after showing. So all I'm asking is that you pay me the same buyer side agent commission that you're already offering on Zillow. If anyone that comes during that open house purchases a home with me in the 15 days following. How does that sound to you?
All right, we can give it a try, see if it works.
Excellent. Can I stop on by in the next couple of days and with some more information for you?
Sure, it sounds good.
Wonderful. Then I will see you then. That's the most agreeable George has ever been. I just want to point that out. So what do we think about that Fsbo script in relation to maybe some others you've seen?
I think
thought
it's
it
a
was
great
very
idea.
Yeah. Maria, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no, I agree. I thought it was very helpful. I never really thought to say, well, you're already paying a commission on the buyer side. Why don't, you just agree to pay me that? That's great.
Yeah. Now, of course, the upside is you get to meet buyers. And in today's market, if there really is a Fsbo that's sitting on the market longer than it should have, you get to promote the open house and meet potential buyers, possibly even sellers. It's an upside for the current seller there. Do you understand? The downside is if a represented buyer comes, you get nothing. You know, you're not a listing agent. So if someone comes who's represented by a Remax agent, it's just, that's oh well, even if they write an offer.
Yeah, I have to say, Mike, for the new agents, they get the opportunity to promote a listing on their social media,
Yep.
show that they're real estating, doing an open house. It, lends credibility, it gives prominence to their business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the downside is very minimal.
Oh, absolutely.
If anything,
Yes,
yeah.
I just mean financially on that
Mhm.
transaction.
Yeah.
But yes, Val, absolutely. And that's the primary reason to do it, for the marketing. You put your open house signs, your picture, your name up
Mhm.
out there. Obviously, the only thing you can't do is put it in the MLS, but you can go into the command and designs and do the open house marketing materials via print or social media. But it's exactly as you said, it's getting your name out there. Absolutely.
Mike, I think to break the ice a little bit, a week or two before you tried to do this is, I've always learned that if you give, you get, that you drop off a sample agreement of sale to this for sale by owner so we can look at it. You drop off a seller's disclosure that someone's going to be looking for. Maybe you drop off a home inspection blackened out with names and things and say, I think you want to kind of overwhelm them a little bit. That list we give out, 100 ways a sale can fall apart, things like that are going to scare them a little bit. And then you're giving him information to help him. And then he may have a little bit more of an open door for you to do something like this because you've helped him along the way. So just
Absolutely.